if he could do it, I could do it. He may be stronger, bigger, whatever, have more talent, have more followers, it doesn't matter. I know what I'm capable of, but the only way you're gonna know is if you try.
Hi everybody, it's Lady Curl in the house of Swingy Todd Studios, representing some of the top lady barbers of Chicago. We're gonna interview them. Let's get to it.
My name's Elisa. I'm 30 years old. I'm married and have 2 boys. And I've been a barber for 5 years, but a cosmetologist for 13 and a half years. They gave us like a vocational and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And they gave us a list of options, and it was like, what is something that I can do where I'm gonna be able to do it just about forever? I'm not gonna have to take out like a huge student loan, and no matter where I'm at in the world, it's always gonna be needed. And it came down to hair, and that was it. I knew from the jump that I didn't want to do women's hair, but when I went to school, they didn't have the barber option. It was just cosmetology. So I decided to do it even though I knew I didn't want to do women's hair, and just stuck it out until I think the state of Illinois decided to do the crossover where you were able to become a barber and a cosmetologist, just in case if I did want to switch it up, but just stuck to being a barber the whole time. Yes. When I went to barber school, I was already in the beauty industry. I had already been cutting men's hair. I was the second oldest in my class. Everybody was like 18, 19 years old. I was 27, I think, 26. And I was already a mom, so that was a lot harder. I was in school for 90 days, but it flew by, so it was pretty good.
For 90 days?
90 days. That's what I was in barber school for. Oh, definitely, yes. When I went back to barber school to do that I definitely did, because everything was done like electronically. We didn't have like a physical book in front of us when we were doing like learning, relearning the chapters that I had to go over that were different from cosmetology. So once like that was in front of me and it was all just electronic, besides the hands-on, that was a big scare. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. This is a lot harder than however many years before. So personally, not necessarily once I became like a barber, but when I was starting cosmetology school, I was in high school in the mornings from like 8:30 to 12, and then from 1 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday, I was in school. So I was always in school until I finished. The transition was hard. I started it in 2020, so in the middle of the pandemic, but I had just had another baby, and I didn't want to go back to a salon setting where I was around so many different people and relying on like people's clients to be honest if they were around someone who was sick at the time or not sick. So I decided to go solo and opened up my own salon suite in River North. And I was terrified. I called plenty of U and D and anybody that I went to barber school with and was like, can I do this? Can I do this being a mom and then a barber at the same time and being a woman? And I was terrified, but I did it. I definitely did. I totally did. I didn't really know any female barbers when I first started. They were all men, and the women that I did know that did hair were not actual barbers. They were cosmetologists, but just taught themselves how to use a razor or, whatever the situation was, but none of them were actually barbers. The first female barber that I met was Dee, and she was my teacher. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I think as women we have the upper hand because I've worked in a like mom and pop barbershop where it was, $5 a head when I started 13 and a half years ago. But then I've also worked in a female shop where it's all females, but they just service men, so it's actually a salon. And there were only 2 barbers, but we were females. And I think men enjoy having their hair cut by a woman as opposed to a male, simply because, I don't know, we have a lighter touch. Guys are more willing to, get their hands massaged or do a hand paraffin wax or get a hot towel with the shampoo after a haircut, as opposed to if it's a guy, I think it's, I don't know, I don't want to use the word intimate, but I think it's a lot more relaxing, I guess. Always. Oh, yes.
What were the
Always.
things that people would say or those things that you would hear?
The first time I cut a guy's hair, I was at a mom and pop shop. I was 18, and the guy came and he sat in my chair, and he kind of looked at me for a second, and he was like, "Are you cutting my hair?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You can't cut my hair, you're a girl." And I was like, "Okay." And he kind of just waited, and he was like, "Well, there's nobody else that can cut my hair." And I was like, "Well, it's up to you." And I cut his hair and lined him up and, did everything, and he didn't have anything to say. He just looked at me, he handed me my tip, and he just walked away. And then I seen him a week later, but in the beginning, the whole time, he was just like, I don't know about this. He was so skeptical, but he didn't say anything at the end, but he came back a week later, so, I don't know. I didn't think when I first started, I was 16 years old, and every 16-year-old, you're a people person with your friends, but outside, when you have to meet strangers, you're really not much of a people person. And I thought I wasn't until you sit in my chair and I could talk to you about anything. And I'll remember the randomest little things and, things like that. But I would have never thought then that I can still do that now. And now it's to the point where I can carry on and just have a conversation with anyone about absolutely anything. And I never thought that I would be that way, but I totally can. And that's one thing that I do love about it, is that no matter where you are, you always have that conversation of should I let this guy know that he's got a messed up lining, or throw it out there hey, who cuts your hair?
You can.
Yeah, heck yeah, now you can. Now I'm just all right, what's happening here? Let's talk about this. So
let's do a little surgery.
It's a walk back to my car. We'll fix you up real fast. For barbering, I went to Chikrosi.
Okay, and how was that?
It was great.
Students,
two of my teachers, Mr. Elisa and Ms. D, they were great. I didn't really have much to do, and I know that sounds kind of bad when you have to go back to school, but I went back, like I said, for just the barber's license because I already had cosmetology. So it was just them teaching me how to use, the razor properly and the proper strokes. But I learned a lot. I was only there for a short period of time, but I definitely did learn a lot more than I did when I did go to cosmetology school. I feel like once you're inside of a shop and you get to embrace your surroundings, you don't have to feel so, I have to start with the way that the pictures are shown inside of the book, or the way that my teacher showed me, I have to do it this way. Once you're in that setting, it's just that natural feeling of okay, I could do just about anything. There's plenty of them. I'm in a room full of, wonderful female barbers. I didn't really have anybody that I looked up to specifically. Once I was around a lot more female barbers, because I didn't know many. Like I said, it was just all guys. Dee was a very big influence, because she was just straightforward. You could do it. She forced me millions of times. Graphics are things I cannot do. And when I was in school, she was like, Tiny, you need to do something. Just start doing it. And I'm like, okay, we tried. And not a strong suit, but we did it. Do it. The only way you're going to know what you're capable of is you have to try. And just because there's so many successful males that can do something doesn't mean that you as a female can't do it. My view on it is, if he could do it, I could do it. He may be stronger, bigger, whatever, have more talent, have more followers, it doesn't matter. I know what I'm capable of, but the only way you're going to know is if you try. So just throw yourself out there and try. It doesn't hurt. Really think about what is the doubt that you have that's making you want to quit. You really have to figure it out. Is it something really that you can't do, or you can't perfect, or work out, or ask someone for help? I know it's not an easy situation in a male-dominated industry, but there's plenty of females. You just have to find, not necessarily find them, but just be willing to be cool, I want to be part of this female barber community, or hair community, however you want to look at it. I wasn't really big with staying in touch with, I guess, hairstylists in the beginning that were like strong and dominant with like specific things that they did. I was just kind of like, I knew I was a haircut person right away. So I just stuck with people who just did haircuts as opposed to color or fades or, you know, shaves, any of that. It was just strictly like my mind was stuck on this one thing. But then I realized like, hey, you have more talent than just doing a haircut. You can do shaves, you could do this, you could do that. So you don't have to just be stuck with the same type of, I guess, service that you do, like broaden it out. You know, there's all types of things you could do with hair, so many different things. I mean, your most generic answer, my kids, my family, myself. I don't know, like I've never had any other job than cutting hair. I've been doing this since I was 16, so I can't see myself doing anything else. Like, this is definitely, like, I could do, you know, so many different things with hair that it's like there's really no space to just be like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna leave it be and walk away.
There's never a I can't.
Definitely not. No. There's
like,
not a can't. Like,
could try.
we could try. We could definitely try. I don't know how good it'll come out, but we'll try until we get it. But yeah, definitely.